Hello everyone, finally the time has come to actually do the episode 2 or the conclusion of the JD-800 restoration story. This spans, the episode 2 content spans over over a time period of several months, mainly because I was busy with making my game, Solar Explorer New Dawn. When we left off, the last we did was I fixed the main problem with the CPU, and also fixed the third ROM problem, and identified what all the issues were. And the checklist was quite substantial. So yeah, it was still a lot of work left to do, and let's see what was involved in restoration of this beautiful synth. So when I opened it up and dismantled all the parts, took all the boards out and everything, then it became painfully clear what actually had happened. And first of all, you'll see there was a lot of dust and a lot of dirt and gunk all over the place. But more critically, there were stains of either coffee or Coke that was spilt into this synth, and it was substantial. That was not little. You can see it on several boards. You could see it on pretty much most of the boards, and it all pooled down on bottom of the metal chassis. So that happened a long time ago, and it obviously had a time to do its thing on the electronics on several contact points. So that's the cause of the weird corrosion. But the second issue is neglect. Basically, it was completely neglected. This could have been avoided very, very easily, but it wasn't. So yeah, after opening it up, the big job was first actually to clean all these boards up, to get rid of those stains and the stickiness and all the stuff that was there, and basically to investigate and see what else could be the problem. Here are the parts, all the boards or the control boards all cleaned up, no more horrible dust, and most of the stains are actually now clean. And you can see that, you can see marked with black here. I've marked the switches, buttons that need to be replaced, and also, where are we? And also the sliders, the ones with the black dots, they need to be desoldered, opened up and cleaned thoroughly because they had some issues. Once I actually managed to do that, I saw that there were any additional issues. So everything that I marked down was good. So it was time to actually get down to the nitty-gritty of desoldering the switches, replacing the switches, cleaning out the sliders. So yeah, for this replacement parts, I ordered replacement switches. I wanted new switches for all of the buttons, big and small. But as far as sliders go, they first of all, they're really expensive to buy, and second of all, they're easy to service. So unless something severe has happened, usually these old sliders are quite easy to service. It just takes a little bit of time and patience. But yeah, so that's what I did next. I got the sliders out. So there's 1 and 3 more sliders out. They look like this when they are out, and if you can see with the light, yes, this one hasn't been cleaned, so you can see, you can clearly see the gunk inside and how dirty it is. So I'm just gonna open it up. You open it up by carefully straightening these metal parts up, and then you just lift it up and then clean it. So yeah, that's next. Alright, so here is the slider with the clamps released, and I tend to open it when it's upside down, simply because I don't want the rest of the parts to come out. So this is the slider open, and yeah, you can see that this one is in not such a bad state. However, when I bring it in closer, you can clearly see that the gunk is all over the place, but they're really not that bad. And on the other side, this one goes along the rails and sends the signals, so that's your slider. And of course that gets dirty over time and oxidized, but this one's okay, so I'm just gonna clean it and yeah, put it back in. Okay, and finally all of the marked sliders are now fixed, and all of the switches are fixed, and yeah, I need to replace one of these with another one that I'm not gonna use, and that's the last thing. So that was a lot of work, but so far so good. Once all the sliders were in place and switches, that was a really big job to do, and it's very fiddly because these boards are old, and whenever you need to desolder something and get it out, there is always a problem of overheating the board and potential of damaging something, so I'm really happy that that didn't happen. Yeah, so after that, the next part was easy. While I was doing the soldering and slider fixing, the dismantled plastic parts were taking a bath, and yeah, they were soaking in lukewarm water with some mild detergent, and yeah, it was time to actually clean those up and get ready to start the assembly process back up. Next issue on the list was also the big one. While I was doing all of these things previously, a couple of days before that, I was, yeah, the whole keyboard was dismantled, and I was soaking in the weight parts of the keys themselves in this kind of recommended type of solution, which is supposed to eat away the red glue as much as it can, and that worked out really well apart from the smell. But yeah, it ate away all of the edges. It did not release the weights themselves, so that means that probably I might not have had the issue itself, but maybe I would have. But either way, I wanted to make sure that it's all good, so next thing to do was to actually yeah, go around the edges, fill it with glue, the sealing type of glue that's not gonna allow anything to actually seep out anytime in the future. So that was another big portion of the job that needed to be done, but yeah, had to be done. Alright, so here are all of the keys cleaned from the red glue and well, the red glue sides, and I've used a special kind of glue that should work really well. Yeah, and as you can see, I've placed a lot of it, and it takes pretty much 24 hours for it to set, but once it does, it should be really good. I was thinking, should I use a super glue or not, but I wanted this kind of sealing property, and it's already starting to harden, which is really cool. And on the black ones, I went with a toothpick and sealed it from the sides and everywhere, so that it's actually all sealed up quite nicely, so that I don't get to have any more glue issues and that I don't have to think about it. Big job. Alright, so the glue has fully cured or dried or whatever, and this is looking really good. So the keys are finally done, and yeah, they're now going back into the key bed so that this is finally done as well. Can't wait to be done with this. Now finally, with the sliders and switches fixed, with the main CPU fixed, with the ROM fixed, with the keyboard red-blue issue treated, plastic parts cleaned, all of that stuff done. One remaining issue as far as the hardware fixing problems goes was that empty line on the display, and usually that's an indication that there's a dirty contact point. So I went in to investigate, and lo and behold, I found the same type of aggressive corrosion on that pin exactly. So yeah, I had to carefully dismantle the display because the construction of that display is mind-bogglingly insane. That can just fall apart immediately, so that was very, very tricky. But yeah, I did a thorough cleaning job, and once that was done, I assembled it back up, and yeah, when I fired it back up, it actually worked. So display was fixed as well. Good. Now, at this point, the entire synth was actually fixed and operational, and everything was working as it should. However, there was one glaring issue, and that were the mangled and destroyed plastic side panels. The problem with that is, first of all, whoever owned this synth neglected it completely, because what they did is insane. They used tons of glue to simply glue the plastic parts to the metal casing of the synth. Second of all, they probably lost some of the screws, or basically the plastic cover was already dismantling and falling apart, but for whatever reason, the entire pitch bend modulation controller wheel was not screwed on to the plastic cover, it was actually glued on. So that was an insane thing to take apart without damaging the plastic cover, and then clean and scrape off the glue, and it was just a complete mess. However, I've done that, and the original plan was to attempt to do a restoration of the plastic pieces. And I had a good plan on how to do that, but I knew that it would take a long time. And because I thought that I would have to do restoration of these parts, I was thinking that I would have to repaint everything so that it actually matches, which I still might do one day. But a few months after I completed all of the fixes, now only the plastic cover bits are missing, right? Miraculously, two left side and right side, both top panels appeared for sale in Italy. The guy was selling them, not cheap, but considering that I got this almost for free, then the investment made actual sense. So I went ahead and ordered them, and I really hoped that it would arrive safely, that they arrive in a good condition, and they were perfect. Of course they're used, but they're perfect. There's no scratches, everything is fine. All of the screw holders were in place, there were no cracks, there were no missing pieces, nothing. It was actually perfect. So I was super happy to have found that, because those are close to impossible to find. It's really difficult to find. So that was a really nice bit of luck. And finally, yesterday I was actually able to, yesterday was the first free day that I could take after the game was finished. And the first thing I did was get this baby out, and I started to assemble it. Everything fit perfectly. Of course, I had to clean out all the glue gunk and remaining pieces from the chassis, and it was just a complete mess. But once that was done, and it started to take shape and form, and all the panels fit together, and all the clean buttons and the new side panels, and once it was in place, it was incredible. So the JD-800, from completely abandoned piece of gear that was neglected, broken, not working, had tons of issues, with a little bit of love and time and patience and a lot of work, it's now brought back to life and it works perfectly. It looks beautiful as it was, and it's another welcomed part of the synth family that I'm building up here, so I'm incredibly happy about that. So as a wrap up to this series and restoration story, I just wanted to give a small play of the synth, that it now works properly and sings beautifully, and what you'll hear is a direct out from the synth into the input of the card. There's absolutely nothing in there, not even a compressor or a limiter or anything like that. It's just the JD, and it's incredible to hear it sing and to know that yeah, it's a special one. For me, it's a really special one. First of all, it was a big dream to get this synth, and second of all, the whole story of driving 1,000 kilometers to get it, and then to define the issues, fixing it, and slowly bringing it back to life so that it actually can live its life and sing again. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this series, and I hope you maybe found some of the info interesting during, or some of the tips and tricks that were used to fix these issues. If so, excellent, and I'm glad about that. Hope you enjoyed it, and see you soon. Bye.